Good evening, everyone. It is April 25th, another week in the books. We are looking at a week of big earnings, big earnings. It is Tesla. It is Amazon. It is the big boys. We're going to get a feel for where they want to go with this coming into this week. But first, don't forget to like and subscribe. I didn't get to a video last week. I was working on my HD uploads to YouTube. So I was working more on that last week, and I think we got it figured out and should be good to go. Don't forget, check out alphatraders.com. You can just click this, put your email, want to see more, super easy. This is for our full-time membership. You guys see some of the winners we had over the summer, over the fall, and you'll see what we do here. So also we've added our SMS application to it as well. So if you sign up for the full-time service, you get the SMS for free. But if you want to go ahead and do the SMS, you can see on Twitter here in our profile, click right here. This bad boy takes you right there. Loads up, takes you to the StockTwits. It used to be the Trade Labs. StockTwits bought the Trade Labs. And you just pop right in, SMS scalping. So pretty much what this does, you get a text message to your phone. It gives you the entry and the exit. And sometimes I'll send some text during the day that that you'll see and just kind of what my thoughts are, so you guys can have an idea of where we're at. So these are all scalps. These are intraday. I would suggest that you have a all cash account. Cash accounts are amazing if you're under 25,000, or if you're over 25, it doesn't matter. But under 25,000, go with the cash account, because we're trying to get quick in and outs. It's same week. Sometimes I'll play a next week scalp, but most of the stuff is pretty much same day, and we're flip. The one thing you don't get with this that the full-time members do, they get our swing trades. So sometimes we play swings. Like I'm in Tesla swings for June and December, and I'm playing the intraday scalping and intraday plays in between as an example. So but this is great for scalpers. If you like scalping, it's in and out. I try to keep stop losses on this, actually, on the scalps. I'm not a big stop loss person, but I like conserving cash. And if the trade's going against you, I like to cut it, reassess, and then see what's coming back. But we've had some big winners. Amazon, we didn't hold it all the way to 25. We bought it at 3. It went to 25. We sold our first set at 7. And then we rolled up to the 3360, sold those as a double. So I think we got about 225% out of it, which was great. Had Tesla 720s gave us a double. We took that. And then the 730s went to 0 on us. So it was a wash trade at the end of the day. But still, that was just Friday. Again, try to manage your risk and do whatnot. But this has been huge response to this. It's really been amazing. There's been so many people that have signed up and said, hey, I think the first day one person signed up, he's like, man, I made $1,000 from you already. I'm, just playing my plays. And I was extremely happy for him. So different ways to try it. If you're not in front of your computer all the time and you're on your phone, or, maybe you're a plumber and you can't be on your phone. One of our members is that way. He's now, SMS guy. And he literally just gets it on his phone real quick and clicks it and goes. So, all right, let's get into this. All right. Big week. Last week this is if you're a scalper or intraday trader, this was beautiful for you, in the sense that you kind of knew you had a range high here at all-time highs on Friday, not Friday 2 days ago, but 9 days ago. And we went into this correction, our levels were pretty much on point here. We had 4115 ES, we had 4120 SPX, and I think we had about 41120. As you see a dip below that. And that's where we're kind of sitting at here. Had a huge day up. You bought out of that 435 gap up here. And then we had, everybody was, on cloud 9 here. And then Biden's, leaked tax number came out and dropped it down. It was over 6%. And then the next day, they kind of corrected it overnight and said, oh, well, that's not exactly what we're saying. We're saying it's the same, as when he was elected. And the market shot right back up to all-time highs. This was a great day to be a trader. in general. But this was a tough day. This was a much better day. It kind of made up for a lot of what people went through. Um, but for us, I mean, we were on cloud nine, and then we broke even on most of our stuff, and then we flipped short real quick, scalped some stuff, made some good money here, lost some on the way down in case it broke down, and then we made it all back pretty much on Tesla and Amazon this day. But this is kind of what I'm seeing here this week. I think tomorrow's probably a gap up. Usually it is, and then it'll hit this resistance 418 again, or get near it, and it'll sell off into Tuesday. Wednesday we'll get a bounce. Thursday we'll get back down because Biden's plan will come out and people all get scared. And then boom, I think Friday they'll realize, okay, we're all good, and now we're gonna blast off here. That's just preliminary. Just play on this. Just play, the range lows, range highs. So you're looking at what 410.60 as your bottom here. 418.25 is your top. You can kind of play it in between the 8 days at 413s. You can kind of play with the 8 day if you want on the daily here. On the 65 minute, just a monster day Friday, and then it sold off at the very end. Once it hit all-time highs, it sold off. We're always looking for this explosion off the top, but usually we get double tops and we get we get rejections at all-time highs. So I'm expecting this to go higher this week, but it might not be till the end of the week because, again, there's a lot of earnings this week. And so far they sold LRCX. They sold ISRG could only get 1 day. Netflix, they literally, they sold that thing, 10% overnight. So you have to think that that's kind of what's going to be happening for tech. If they sell Tesla, that's your name. That means they're going to probably sell Amazon. They're probably going to sell Apple. They're probably going to sell anybody else that you think is decent or good. And it definitely won't have a day two. If it has a day one, it won't have a day two. So just know that going into May, we're coming to the tail end of this bull run. We're getting to the tail end of this bull pop. And you got to know that this is probably the last week, maybe a couple days over there in May. Maybe the first and second, it stays steady and high. But sooner or later in May, we're going to get this big drop and big correction, just like we did at the end of March. We're going to have another one here, and just be aware of that. But playing the ranges, I mean, they're pretty easy on SPY. I mean, SPY, SPX, and ES, like they're pretty much all the same as they were last week. Okay, let's look at the Qs. So Qs are interesting in the sense that, all these tech earnings, they do have room up here to 342. And then let me get on the daily for you. And we still have room in the, this big megaphone pattern that we have just seemingly on all the indexes. It hit right here at, what was the all-time high on that? 338.19. We got through that, which is good. There's this big area to 353. It's super interesting. And I would think that the market wants to run there. So if it does run in this week anyways, if it decides to go there this week, I think this is a great place to short 353. You take your profits here at 351, 352, let it run up a little bit more, and then you short the heck out of it for a short swing. And the nice part about this, it's good risk reward. So, if you bought the 350 puts for 2 weeks out, or maybe you bought the 345s for a month out, the nice thing is if it does decide to pop, just meander and pop, you can cut your losses like right here, right as it goes above this and confirms on a daily close. You can just close it and you lose 20%, which is great from a risk reward standpoint. In options, you might lose 15, 20% because you're like, oh, okay, well, it broke out, it beat me. And then you just reassess like that. That's where options traders, if you can be good like that, you can be a good options trader when you know the extremes. Otherwise, over 342, this thing runs. Really, it does. I mean, you could maybe say that really it's over 342.23. You get over that, you're gone. You got another 10 points on you. And it won't be a straight line. It'll be probably, pop to 346, 347, come back down, retest the breakout, get up to 350, come back and retest this, the area that a previous high on the breakout was, and then come back. They play the game. So it's not going to be a straight line. Russell, so IW small caps had a day. They really had a good week. The week started off kind of rough. But then it really popped back. So it's really encouraging over this 226.65. Um, nice trade to 230. I wouldn't mind buying the 228 calls over a break here. I wouldn't mind on the lottos anyways. You could even swing this for 2 weeks out, do the 230 calls for 2 weeks out. I do think it gets back to 234.52 before we correct, but we'll see. If small caps run, SPX is going to run. All right, back into names now. So Baidu, I have been telling our members there's going to be a day here where Baidu has a 20-point day, and everybody's like, "Oh, this selling came from, a hedge fund in Asia that went under, and there was heavy selling in this, and it doesn't seem that you would think this would have been when the seller might have been done, but not so much because it's been. Although this chart looks good and it looks like it's easy, it hasn't been because it'll drop 10 points and it'll pop 8 and then the next day you'll get a shoot up and then it'll drop, 10 points again on you. And then it pops the next day and you're like, okay, this might be it. Doesn't go any, and then pops down at the end of the day. It's really hard to trade right now. But the daily anchor, the daily, what am I going for here? Sorry. The daily anchored the lowest low anchored VWAP here is kind of holding the line. So it's pretty simple on Baidu. Over 222, this thing's going to go. You could call it 223 if you want. I don't care. This thing has a massive run here. If you can see, it's 20 points, literally 20 points here on the daily. If you look on the 65-minute, it actually gives you a little better. I highlighted the areas for everybody to see. So this out of this 222.68, we called it 223. You break out of this and you have a good 7-point move. This is a good lotto here, 223s. And I'll show you the UOA on it also, but this is a good 7-point move here. This will give you a little bit of resistance here. This 65-minute 200-day. Amazon this looks exactly like Amazon did last week when we bought it on Friday and it ran here and it had a little bit of trouble here. And we sold our first position here. It was a good place to sell. Now, all of a sudden, once it popped over, the volume came in and just started moving. The same thing could happen with Baidu. They're looking at this. I do want to check the 10-minute. I haven't checked the 10-minute on this. So way above the 10-minute 200. Okay, a lot of good stuff there. But 65 is going to give you just a little more volume. A lot of more people are going to be looking at the 65-minute and the hourly rather than the 10-minute. So this is a big move here. So 222 is my number. I will be going into the 230s above a 222 break. But I want to show you this. Look at this flow. Look, this is Friday. Look at this, 100% bullish. And then this right here. If you guys see this, look at this big boy trade, this block. 5-7, 2 weeks from now, 235 calls. Look at the amount they bought it for. They bought 336,000. That means big boys are trying to hide. By the way, blocks usually mean big players. I call them big boys, BOIs. Big boys are sweeping these things up. This could have been the same buyer. I don't know. But I will tell you, this caught my eye towards the close, and I'm like, whoa. That right there, the 235 for 258. So they're at least saying that they think it's going to get 237.58 for a break even. That's in theory what they're saying. But look at this. All these sweepers. You got a split in here. All the same calls, all the same strikes. Probably the same buyer putting a different set, a different or a different amount. And it could have been some copycats as well. You could have seen, or maybe this block trader saw this and quickly the computer picked it up and said, okay, we analyze it within 10 seconds and we think it's good. So just super interesting. These 5-7 235s come across a lot. They come across a lot. Now you want to filter this. Sometimes you want to go into premium and you want to sometimes you want to get above 100,000 just to give it a little bit of, look at this. April 30th, 220 calls at 405. They bought them at first thing in the morning. So if they bought them first thing in the morning, 65-minute, let's drop down. He bought it in here. So let's go to the 10-minute. Gives us a little better time. Did he buy it at? He bought this, or she bought this at 9:22 a.m. 9:22 a.m. That's Central, by the way. So he bought it either somewhere probably around, we can guess, yeah, the volume was in the beginning. So he probably bought it right under 219, probably around 219 to 1950. He bought those. And those are currently up a little. So he's probably up 10% on these. But right here, the 430 220s, just super interesting. I mean, super cheap too, 480. So he's thinking it's 225. We'll call it 225. So Baidu's big on the list this week. I really like Baidu. I might even dabble in some of these if it pulls back Monday morning, which I don't think it will, but just something to watch. I like it a lot. All right, next on our list here, it is Snowman, Snowflake. This thing, man, this thing is ready for 244. I think I've had this on my screen now for like 2 weeks. It literally, if you watch this channel ever since it broke 244, the channel is 244. 244. Every time it approaches it, boom, sell off. Approaches it, boom, sell off the next day. This literally, third time might be a charm, but I think the third time it gets here, it pops back down. But I think the fourth time, boom, could really go. But we'll see. Usually it needs a gap up in its favor, needs to close around, has to open up around 240 and then gap up with volume to get pushed through this 244 level. 244 is going to be super hard. You can also play the short off this as well. You can play a call spread. That's probably the safest way to go about it if you try to get in below 244. I would, I would probably, if it's at 240 and I think it might go through, I might just quickly put a call spread on, do the 250s and the 230s, 250, 230 spread. That way I'm protecting my downside a little bit. So if it does sell off, I can sell the top side of this and I still collect something here, and I can even add some puts if it gets rejected. But literally, it's 244. I've been telling our members this for 2 weeks. It's 244. They don't understand. Some of them don't understand. How do you know that? How do you know that? How do you know that? It's super easy. This channel tells me everything I need to know. This thing every single time tells me everything I need to know about it. Snowman. Next one, NIO, Monster Day. We made a good 100% on our calls that we had on Thursday. Then that Biden thing came through and the NIO calls were up. The rest of the NIO calls we had were up, I don't know, 40%. We sold them because honestly, I don't deal with that garbage. I'd rather just take my money and reassess and let the market settle down a little bit. There's no reason to go crazy. NIO can run really up to 60 again over time. On the daily here, looks really good. Over 41.92. You're really looking at 42. That's really a good number to get over. You can play it up to 43, maybe even 44 if it has a really good week. On the 65-minute, you'll see just a monster run up here. And we bought ours somewhere right here. Some Thursday in the morning. So it was somewhere around here. I think 30, 38 on the break of 38. We bought the 39s. Getting through this was big, closing above it. The 265 minute was big. Really just looking, like I said, it's pretty easy, over 42. But great move. Expect about 42 and then come back. You might get 40, like I said, actually, I'm sorry, you might get 43 and then, pull back a little bit. We'll see though. NIO looks good. About time. FCell, one of my favorites. Really want to show you guys some FCell UOA as well. Real quick. Take these filters off. So smaller players, but you can see that they think this week's there's some 12.5 blocks coming in. Not a ton. Again, they're only 30 cents. So, but look at the size. They're buying 3,300 of them. So they think that it's going to be something. Look at the volume on the 12.5s for 2 weeks from now. I'm really looking at these. We're actually in the 11 calls for May OPEX right now. So it's the same principle. We just bought a little more time. It'll be the same profit, though, in the sense that as this gets closer, of course, if it falls down, ours won't. So we have a little bit of, we don't have as much theta exposure as, these 5.7s, but this was somewhere more of where we were, the 11 and a half calls. We're in the 11s. So a little closer strike. Actually, that one right there. Boom. That's what it was. So they're not expensive at all. But going back to FSL, I think it could have a big week and a half. I expect it to get at least to 11 here on the 65-minute, and then ultimately to 1266, the 265-minute EMA. Through that, it can really run to 1350. I'll show you on the daily. Get through this. This is this area here. This is the cloud coming down. This cloud tells you a lot. It'll start entering the cloud here, and then we'll see really where it goes from that point. This is the 100 EMA on the daily. So this is going to be a big resistance point at 1306. This would be a target area for me if you're in the 12s or 1250s or 11s. I would personally take that. Tesla, my favorite. I was wrong. The market maker got me on Monday and Tuesday. I then came back on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday and made all of it back. So I saw what he was doing going into earnings. He was trying to pump up that premium. It was suckers premium. I got sucked in on Monday and Tuesday. Then I realized I went back to the drawing board Tuesday, said, where am I making my mistakes? And I found that I was actually just playing. He was sucking people into the premium and spitting them out. And it was pretty easy to watch that he had spit enough people out here on the 22nd that I was like, okay, well, we can play that. On the 21st, you got some buyback off that sell off the 20th. So once it bounced out of the 700s here, once it bounced off 700, I was pretty confident the next drop, I was going to wait for 710 because 710 is a big area here. If you can see, this is always a big area of interest. The 710 to 712 area, 713. And we saw it and we popped it and we bought it, and we did really well on it. So super easy numbers. I posted them on our Twitter as well, if you guys can see, at Alpha Traders Inc. You guys can see all the levels there. Pretty easy. Here's your pivot. Here's your big go through I call it 752 really. 753 was just the resistance up here. You get to 763, that's your accelerator. You can really push through that to 780. Honestly, if it has great earnings on Monday, this thing could push to 800, 820. I don't think it does. I think they sell that thing. I think they get it up to 7. My guess is they get it up to here, to the 780 area, and then they sell that thing on Monday. I mean, I really think like Tesla could run 50 points on Monday if there's rumors that it's going well or doing well. We'll see. But that's it. The levels are super easy on Tesla. Super easy. Trip. I like this name. It's a huge amount. I don't know if I can pull it up on here for you guys. Let me see if I can filter this real quick for you. Let's change it to the 19th. There's a difference. I want to make sure everybody knows this. There's a difference between puts and sold puts. Sold puts are bullish if you don't know. Straight puts, where you just buy the put, is bearish. Nothing wrong with that. But what some of these are telling me is that these guys are selling puts at 49. There's a lot of this. You kind of trend it with the volume and the open interest, and you look at that. But even though this says bearish, it doesn't disseminate between this algo only pulls out. It only pulls whether it's a put or a call. It doesn't tell you if it's sold or not. So you have to do a little bit of research. You have to look at it a little bit. But to me, like this right here, June 18th, 50 puts, to me, this tells me that they're selling the puts. You go back and look at it, it's 50.98. They're selling the 50 puts underneath. They think it's a pretty bullish market. Then you have a couple of the buyers here that come back in. This could have been a spread, could have been a hedge, but I actually like Trip. And there's a lot of speculation here that the puts are sold puts and they think this thing's going to get up to 54, 55 and hang and maybe pull back to 50, but it's almost like they're not going to get called back. Now, remember, some of those from earlier in the week, right? So you have to kind of match them up. 420, where's the one I was looking at? So this was on 420 at 11 in the morning. So 420, 11 in the morning. 420, look at this day. Okay, that doesn't look good, right? So we go back, 49 puts for May 21st. They bought them when Trip was 46, 47, maybe 48. So they bought in the money puts as short, and they might have sold them. So I mean, that's just, you got to watch all this stuff. It's not just, oh hey, they bought a put, oh hey, they bought they bought a call, and that's that. I actually like selling the 50 puts for 2 weeks out here, maybe 3 weeks out. Selling these, because I think it's going to hold, and I think you're actually going to get a jump this week. The 65-minute gives you a little better flow on this, because the clouds turn green and they're starting to cross. And what that tells me is anytime these clouds cross like that, you get a bullish momentum up. You start to get a bullish, I mean, you can see it here. These things start to cross, you get a lot of buyers. You get the cloud cross again, you get a lot of buyers. Cloud crossed here, boom, fell off the face of the earth. And now you're getting these clouds to go. And again, I like having indicators only for the sense that they just confirm what I'm already looking at. This is seller exhaustion. This is telling me it's a buy. The cross is telling me it's a buy. It breaks the 65-minute 200 EMA. And to me, this thing gets at least a 51, 52, possibly, like I said, up to 54 this week. If this reopen is the one that gets money flowing to it from tech earnings, I think selling the 50 puts here for this week or next week is a really safe bet. You can always just buy them back and take some of the premium and go home. So that's my strategy on Trip. My favorite stock in the whole world, C Limited, SE, huge run up from here. We actually, we bought 250 calls like here, and then it went down. We're like, oh no. And they were down, I think 80% or something like that. And now they are up 180% or something like this. That's why you got to kind of hold and see how this thing goes. But this is pretty easy. This one's an easy play for me. Over 260. You see the 259, 261 squeeze. 260 is a good spot, because if it falls below 259.71, you cut it, and if it goes above, you're good to go. So I'd look at the 260, 250s. You look for a run back to you're probably looking at a run back to 270, 272. 65-minute gives you a little better idea on this. The 261, 259, there you see it. You break out of this. If you can break out of it, I mean, you have some room to run here. You got some room to run. If it gets to 275, heck, amazing. I don't think it does. Like I said, I think 270 is a good sign number. 275, definitely going to give you, that's definitely, but I'll tell you what, if you bought the these are probably going to be like seven or eight, the 262s. So if you bought 265s for 6, I think you're okay as well. Netflix, don't chastise me for this, okay? I know it's tough. It's tough to be a Netflix owner. Netflix is not the Netflix of a year ago. It's not of 2 years ago. It's just not. It had its golden moment in COVID, and that may have been it. But hear me out. Hear me out. Gaps are made to be filled. That is a rule in my book. I don't care if it's not others. It's in my book. Gaps are made to be filled. Doesn't mean it has to be filled today or tomorrow or the next day. But ultimately, these gaps are huge AI and algo hunting grounds. These guys want to eat through this gap. It's almost like a magnet for algos and AI supercomputers. It's like a magnet for them. Oh, gaps, let's go get them. Gaps, let's go up and get them. Gaps, let's go down and get them. So for me, I would love to see this 500 holds. The best place to buy is off 500 again, personally. That's when the most blood people are going to be like, oh no, it's going to fall 490, 480, really. And then you go, okay, well, I'm going to buy the 5/10s off this, which should be, tomorrow will probably be $10, $11 maybe. Or buy the 5/15s, and you can at least get back to 5/10. That's a 50% trade right there. Like, boom, just hit it. If it gaps up to here, then you chill at 5/13. You chill at 5/15. You wait, because you have to let it get into the gap. You got to let it touch the gap and feel the gap a little bit. Once it does that, now you can start buying some stuff. But the perfect tomorrow would be hit me at that 200, that daily 200 EMA at 503, 503.60, whatever that is. And is it 503.60? What is it? 503.06. My fault. Sorry, moving this too much. Roughly 503.06. And I think you could even buy next week's at like 14 or 15. You could buy the 520s then, or 515s. That's just to the gap. It's a 50% trade and you have time. Like, to me, the odds are in your favor here. And if it falls below 566, you cut it. Cool. You lost 10%. That's way better than waiting, buying it at 515 and watching it fall all the way to 500 and you lose 80% of your premium. Like, to me, I'd rather play at these extremes rather than sitting here in this gap. And if it fills a little bit, then I'll start to gain a little bit of confidence. Maybe the 520s work, maybe the 525s. Maybe I can do something like that. But I want to buy at the extremes. I want to buy at those daily closes. Like, for me, 506.40, if it holds that again, buy. Let's do it. Let's see what happens. So can't have fear here. This is not even a bear flag. This is just garbage flag. But look at that. It's holding. Every time it falls, it reclaims. Every time it falls, it reclaims. If it falls again and it reclaims, it's a trade. There's going to be a lot more people interested in that. So that's what we got for this week. I won't hold you guys any longer. I appreciate you guys. Hopefully this thing gets up in HD. It should. The converters should upload it, but alphatraders.com. Check us out. Check out our SMS. It's in our link in our bio over Twitter. Got any questions, hit me up at Alpha Traders Inc. And hope you guys have a great week. Stay alpha.